And the next speaker, actually, as per me, needs no introduction at all. All of you have heard about or interacted in some way or the other with Motilal Oswal. You have the CEO of Motilal Oswal Asset Management Company, Mr. Ashish P. Somaiya, coming here live and speaking to us. Now he's a person, I mean, I could have given any topic. He's such a versatile personality that he can speak on anything. You could just wake him up from bed and ask him to speak on anything financial. But there is one thing which most of us, most of the people who are here on this platform right now do not know much about. And that is what I said in the morning also. Can you buy an Amazon share? International investing is something that we don't know about. We don't know why should we invest in a market like Brazil or Japan or Germany or USA. Is it worth it? What's wrong with our own markets? There are lots of questions that come to our mind, and I could think of nobody better than Ashish Somaiya to answer those questions, to take this presentation ahead and put all of us wise on this investing avenue, which is quite alien to us. Thanks a lot, Ashish, for agreeing to our request to join here. We are very, very eagerly looking forward to hearing Ashish Somaiya live on our platform. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for inviting me here to come and speak to your esteemed investors and the esteemed audience that we have out here. Um, as the topic has been already set, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to share a little bit on investing outside India. And then, of course, if there are any questions, I'm most happy to answer all of your questions. Now, if you actually, think about this, investing outside India, that is international investing that we are referring to out here, frankly, is not a new concept. In fact, just to get all our attendees on the same page, or just to update everybody as far as the regulations and as far as the ability to invest is concerned, the fact is that since the last about 10 to 15 years, there have been regulations which allow Indians to invest outside India, right? And by the way, all of you, we very normally and very casually we speak that foreigners are investing into India, and a lot of times there is a discussion. Every evening, in fact, there is a discussion which says that today have the foreigners bought or have they sold, and have the domestic investors bought and have the domestic investors sold. These kind of conversations are quite normal, and we do these conversations without even stepping or pausing even for a moment to think that why are all these foreigners investing into India. We speak about it so casually that foreigners are buying, foreigners are selling, etc., etc. But I'm quite amazed. If you think of it at a very, very simple, very, very ordinary level, I'm quite amazed that nobody steps back to think that why are these foreigners investing into India. And just the way that they are investing into India, is there any reason where probably even we should consider investing into their countries or into their markets? So, at one level, it's quite amazing that we never step back and think about this. And by the way, foreigners investing into India is something which started right from 1991. And just for some general knowledge or trivia kind of discussion, it will be interesting to know that the total value of all the listed companies in our stock market, what we loosely refer to as market capitalization, the total value of all the listed companies in our stock market in 1991 was just rupees 2 lakh crores. Okay, and when this value was just 2 lakh crores, obviously foreigners were not allowed to invest in India before 1991. Indian stock markets were only for Indian investors, very inward looking, very domestic. So that time the total value of all listed companies in India was only 2 lakh crores, and foreigners were not allowed to invest. From that day till now, nearly 30 years have passed. In these 30 years, the value of India's total market has gone from 2 lakh crores to say well over about 110 to 120 lakh crores. So the value has gone up by about 50 to 60 times. When our total value was 2 lakh crores, foreigners holding of our stock market was zero. Today, when our holding is say nearly 110 to 120 lakh crores, foreigners own 25% of our total market itself, right? So what is interesting to note is that in the last 30 years, foreigners have consistently been buying our companies and our stocks. And we discuss this every evening that आज गोरों ने इतना माल खरीदा, इतना माल बेचा, हमारे मार्केट में ये हुआ, वो हुआ, इस तरीके की चीजें पिछले 30 साल से लगातार हर शाम को डेटा पब्लिश होता है. लेकिन मुझे नहीं पता that we've never stepped back and thought that if these guys are investing here, why are we not investing in their countries? And sometimes I have found very, very inward looking or very, very, that frog in the well kind of reply I have got many times, which says that if all the foreigners want to invest in India, then why Indians should invest outside? Uh, that is a very, very narrow and a very, very wrong perspective, if at all anybody ever brings it up. Because what we should understand is that in the whole world, the value of all the listed companies is some 60, 70 trillion dollars. And the value of Indian equity stock market totally, this 120 lakh crore, etc., what I told you, is less than 2 trillion. So in the entire world's market value, in 60 trillion dollars, we are not even 2 trillion. So we are so tiny. Uh, that if we start thinking कि पूरे दुनिया भर के लोग तो यहाँ इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, तो हम क्यों बाहर इन्वेस्ट करें? I think that just if you get the perspective that how tiny we are in the overall world scheme of things, then we will actually appreciate that if we invest only in India, we can understand. Sitting here, we understand why foreigners are investing in India, but sitting here, we don't have enough understanding of applying the same logic to understand that why we should also invest outside of India. So, this is one broad perspective to keep in mind, that there are opportunities out there. The world is a much bigger place than what we might be imagining. And if we are not able to imagine how big the world is and what all opportunities lie out there, then clearly that frog in the well kind of principle might be applying to our thought process. So we have to get out of that thought process. That's the first point. Second thing to keep in mind, what is stopping us? Is there anything stopping us? Other than our thought process or other than expanding our horizons, frankly, nothing is stopping us actually. Because the government of India and the Reserve Bank, for instance, I don't know how many of us know that officially an Indian citizen can open bank account, stock broking account, mutual fund account, whatever they want. They can open such accounts outside the country. There is a liberal remittance scheme whereby the Reserve Bank of India permits that every person, every individual PAN holder can, if I'm not wrong, they can send some $250,000 outside the country every year. So in a family, if there are 4 people, then in 1 year they can send out $1 million US every year. Now, this needs a lot of rigmarole. It's a very, very complicated process. It is complicated process because then you will have to do a lot of things to figure out how to open an account outside the country, send a foreign remittance. Then when you do a remittance, there is some tax to be held back. So there are many complications. But long story short, Indians have been enabled to invest outside India since many, many years. What I'm saying is not new. Now, because it is very, very inconvenient and cumbersome for every individual to open accounts and start investing outside the country, then it's going to be quite a nuisance. How do you actually take benefit of this? So going beyond, other than allowing individuals, take one step further. Our current regulatory setup, which is Reserve Bank and our SEBI, even the mutual fund industry is allowed to collect money. Like say, for example, now when we launch a mutual fund, what we do, we come and tell you that this is a large cap fund, this is a mid cap fund, this is multi cap, etc., etc. We tell you exactly how we will invest. We create a scheme. You invest in the scheme, and then we invest on your behalf as per the objectives of the scheme. So now for investing outside the country also, Indian mutual funds have been permitted since many years to actually create dedicated mutual fund schemes. And just like individuals have their own quota of how much per year they can invest outside, the whole mutual fund industry as an aggregate has its own quota of 7 billion US dollars, which in today's value is almost 55 to 60,000 crores. Can be just for perspective, the Indian equity mutual fund industry is in the range of 8 to 9 lakh crores in terms of corpus. And for that size of scale of the country, comparably, 60,000 crores is not a small amount, because Indian mutual funds are allowed to invest about 55 to 60,000 crores outside India in shares and bonds of international companies. So my point is that the regulation allows it. We must definitely consider this. There is a dire need for Indian investors to actually consider investing outside India. And what are the reasons? Why should they actually consider? I would like to just, if you can pardon me for 1 second, I would just like to put up some slide out here, which will enable us to understand why I am saying this. Sir, is this visible to you, sir? Yeah, is this slide visible? Can you give me some feedback? Okay, thank you. Thanks for the confirmation. So basically, why should Indians, I've given you a background of, how much foreigners invest in India. That should set us thinking that, even we should consider investing outside, etc. But what are the prime reasons? Why should Indian people consider investing outside India? And there are three reasons for this. The first and foremost reason, there are three reasons here written about diversification and growth and exposure to currency, etc. I'll first explain the currency part. We'll not follow the order as it is, but I'll just explain the currency part. Why are we saying that currency? Now, as you might be aware, all our investments, if you're investing in India in Indian mutual funds, you may be aware that all your money is in Indian rupees. And of course, the largest currency in the world is the US dollar, right? If you step outside the country, if you're traveling, then obviously you are using actually US dollars. And we also know that some of our investment goals are actually linked to US dollar. For instance, you may be saving here in rupee terms, but if you want to send a child abroad for education, say US or Europe or wherever it is, then rupee is not going to work. Whatever rupees you have saved, it will have to be converted into dollars. And let us say you have been saving for many, many years. But in your time period, let's say you saved for 10 years to send the child abroad. But in those 10 years, let us say the rupee goes from, say 10 years back, I remember rupee was more in the vicinity of 45 to 50 per dollar. That 45 to 50 per dollar has gone all the way to about 75. So if I take 50, the 50 rupees per dollar has become 75 rupees per dollar. So if you keep on saving and you do a great job of saving, but you are saved in rupees. So you do a great job of saving, but the rupee loses half its value. So obviously, your principal may have appreciated, but half of that appreciation will go away because the rupee kept on depreciating. So first and foremost, what we should keep in mind is that when we are doing our financial planning, we have advisors in Hum4G. So for example, when you're doing your financial planning or asset allocation with their assistance, one of your goals may be, let's say you want to go on a world tour. Let us say you want to take a foreign trip. Like I said, somebody wants to send kids abroad for education. what we have to keep in mind is that when we are envisaging our future goals, what we have to keep in mind is that some of our goals are actually denominated in a foreign currency, which could be dollar or euro. So when we are saving and considering that some of our future liabilities are going to be in a different currency, having a different currency, having a flavor of a different currency in our current investment pool definitely makes a lot of sense. And just to understand, in the last 20 years, the Indian rupee has depreciated 2.5% every year on an average. In the last 10 years, it has depreciated 4% every year on an average. So the first reason why Indians should consider investing outside the country, first reason is because we want to have more than one currency in our basket of assets. That's the first point. The second point is that when we invest in India, we are investing in companies which are listed here, and companies whose bulk of the business is centered around India or within the borders of India. But sitting here, we all are aware of many fabulous brands and many companies. For example, when I'm talking to you, I'm using a computer which is made by Microsoft. We are interacting on an American platform called Zoom. This presentation which I am showing to you is on an American company called Adobe, right? So what we need to understand is that we deal on an often, every day, we deal with the McDonald's and the Starbucks and the Amazons and the Facebooks of the world. And the reality is that these companies are not listed in India. Now, if we want to benefit from their growth, we have to but naturally invest where they are listed. India is one of their tiny markets. Their entire shareholder base does not belong to India. So there is no reason for them to actually get listed in our NSE and BSE kind of uh, section, right? So NSE, BSE, etc. is not going to enable you to invest into, say, these Facebooks and Googles of the world. So if you want to get exposure to those brands and exposure to those markets, for instance, you might understand through some conversation that, just like India is a big market, let's say you might understand that Africa is a big market or Europe is a big market. Now, how will you invest in companies which give you exposure to growth in Europe or give you exposure to growth in Africa? You have to invest in companies. I mean, you have to go and invest in those companies where they are listed, and all of those companies may not be listed on the BSE and NSE where you and me are actually investing on a day-to-day basis. So first is currency, second is growth and exposure to multiple markets, and the third is diversification. Now, diversification is a term which is used quite casually and quite generally in many contexts. But let me tell you, diversification is a very scientific term. It is full of arithmetic. And for example, if you invest if you invest in a particular asset, and then you invest in one more asset. I'll give you an example. Let us say that you buy a house in Gurgaon, okay, and then you say that, okay, I bought a house in Gurgaon. Now, I would like to diversify, so I would like to buy another house, half a kilometer down the road in Gurgaon itself. Now, what you will realize is that when the price of one house goes up, but naturally the price of the other house also goes up. And when the price of the first house goes down, the price of the second house also goes down. So what you will realize is that you have bought two houses in two separate locations, but they happen to be in the same city, and all the factors which drive the house prices in that city, they apply to both the houses. So that is not called diversification. Why it is not called diversification? Because in technical jargon, it is said that these two prices are correlated. What is the meaning of correlated? They both are driven by the same set of factors. That is called correlated. नाउ व्हेन यू वांट डाइवर्सिफिकेशन फ्रॉम दिस एग्जांपल, ये बात तो आपको समझ में आ गई होगी कि जब आपको डाइवर्सिफिकेशन की जरूरत है तो you should be buying asset classes or you should be buying assets such that they are not correlated. देखिए, अगर both are correlated तब तो both the fortunes are linked together, और जब खराब होगा तो दोनों खराब होंगे, अच्छे होंगे तो दोनों अच्छे होंगे, तो उसमें तो कोई डाइवर्सिफिकेशन मिली नहीं आपको. अच्छा, अगर हम इसका ऑपोजिट कर दें, let us say that one house, every time the price of one house goes up, the price of the other house goes down. तब क्या होगा? आपका 100 रुपए का वैल्यू जो है वो 100 रुपए रहेगा. आपने डाइवर्सिफाई तो कर दिया, बट वो दोनों ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन में चलते हैं. So it has given you such a perfect diversification that it is not going to make you any return. It is only going to reduce your risk and not going to make you any returns. So for diversification, you don't want high correlation and you don't want the opposite correlation. For diversification, what you want is low correlation, meaning that both the prices or both the fortunes of those asset classes should be linked to factors जिसका एक दूसरे से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. So that is the reason why diversification is a must. And for diversification, you need low correlation. You need to buy assets which have low correlation. You know, where is bulk of your money? Bulk of your money is lying in the Indian stock markets and the Indian bonds. Now you will have to go and invest in an asset which has low correlation to our domestic markets. What will that do for you? That will help you reduce the portfolio volatility. So these are the three reasons why Indians should be investing outside. And by now you must have understood that these are precisely the reasons why foreigners are also investing into India. It's not that उनके अगर $100 की इनकी अगर संपत्ति है तो कोई $100 इंडिया में डाल के नहीं बैठा है. कई सारे लोग हैं जिनकी $100 की समझिए संपत्ति होगी, तो इन्होंने $4 या $5 इंडिया में लगाया होगा, $10-15 चाइना में लगाया होगा, $30-40 इनका अभी भी यूएस में ही होगा, $20-25 इनका यूरोप में होगा. So internationally in the Western world, it is a very well appreciated concept that you have to invest internationally for these three reasons. In India, what is happening is that the awareness was not there. Also, there is a very important proverb in English which says, habits change with generations. So as our capital market, देखिए 20 साल पहले when my mother was investing, she was only investing in post office, state bank deposit, PPF, etc. That's why I said habits change with generations. As time passes, as exposure changes, as the savings level rises, as the complexity of the market rises, people realize that they need to diversify. And this is the reason why foreigners are investing into India. This is precisely the reason why Indians also need to invest outside. How much? How? I think for that you need an advisor. You have very great advisors who have been kind enough to invite me here today. So I'm sure the nitty-gritties of this, the implementation of this, they would be able to guide you much better than what I would be able to actually guide you. Now, few minutes back, I spoke about a slightly technical thing, which is called correlation. Now, you know, I'm not going to get into I have explained to you in very simple language, but now with the numbers or with the data, I would like to tell you in just one simple snapshot that देखिए इंडिया का जो सबसे बड़ा इंडेक्स है, हम निफ्टी को फॉलो करते हैं, लेकिन इंडिया का सबसे बड़ा इंडेक्स जो है 500 स्टॉक का, वो है निफ्टी 500. ये टेबल में हमने क्या बताया, जैसे अगर आप निफ्टी 500 का रिटर्न्स देखते हैं, उसको आप S&P 500 के मुकाबले अगर कंपेयर करते हैं, what you will find is that the correlation of Nifty 500 and S&P 500, ये देखिए +1 भी अच्छा नहीं है, -1 भी अच्छा नहीं है. डेटा में आपको क्या नजर में आता है कि निफ्टी 500 और S&P 500 के रिटर्न्स जो हैं, ये एक साथ मूव नहीं करते हैं और एक दूसरे से ऑपोजिट भी मूव नहीं करते हैं. इनका जो कोरिलेशन है ये है 0.2 और नैस्डैक के साथ का कोरिलेशन है 0.1 और गोल्ड के साथ का कोरिलेशन है 0 और इक्विटी का गवर्नमेंट बॉन्ड के साथ का कोरिलेशन है 0.08. इसीलिए जैसा आप समझते हैं, आपके फाइनेंशियल प्लानर्स हैं या आपकी जब एसेट एलोकेशन करते हैं, इसीलिए ये इंडियन इक्विटी, इंटरनेशनल इक्विटी, गोल्ड, फिक्स्ड इनकम, इसीलिए हम सबको बताते हैं कि कोई भी एक एसेट में इन्वेस्ट नहीं करना चाहिए, मल्टीपल एसेट्स में इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए। और ये डेटा के साथ यहाँ पे साफ जाहिर होता है कि यू वांट एसेट्स जिसकी प्राइस मूवमेंट जो है वो एक दूसरे से कोरिलेटेड ना हो, और ये एक दूसरे से एग्जैक्टली ऑपोजिट मूवमेंट भी ना हो। सो फॉर डाइवर्सिफिकेशन व्हाट you need to invest in assets which have low correlation. And what this table is showing, the table shows that निफ्टी 500 जो इंडिया का इंडेक्स है उसका S&P 500, नैस्डैक, गोल्ड और गवर्नमेंट बॉन्ड्स, इन सभी के साथ लो कोरिलेशन है. दैट इज समथिंग विच यू मस्ट कीप इन माइंड. This is the last part which I wanted to actually show you. This actually gives you an idea that why you are investing outside the country, because you are using all these brands. You are using all these brands on a day-to-day basis. But if you want to participate in the growth of these brands, if you want to be a minority shareholder of these brands, they are not listed and they are not going to be listed on BSE and NSE in the foreseeable future. So your only choice is to invest in the stock markets where these brands are actually listed. So this is one piece. And I think, this is, I would just like to keep it basic. This is where I think I will end my talk. And I will request Colonel Sanjeev Govila to, step in here. And if there are any questions, I'm most happy to answer your questions.
There are lots of questions, Ashish, on your presentation, and we have less time for it. So I don't know which ones to pick and which ones not. I've been trying to answer them in the Q&A box myself. However, a couple of them I would like to pitch to you because you are best placed to answer them.
Sure. Please tell me.
First is, what should be the first step to invest abroad and which company to start with?
See, first step should be actually to देखिए क्या है, काफी सारी चीजें आई एम कॉन्शियस कि मैंने सिंप्लीफाई, देखिए क्या है, जब हम सिंप्लीफाई करते हैं तो रिस्क ये होता है कि ओवर सिंप्लीफाई कर सकते हैं किसी चीज को, और आधे घंटे के अंदर अंदर सिंपल रखना भी है. सो आई थिंक दैट आई डोंट वांट टू लीव एनीबडी विद द इंप्रेशन दैट दिस इज इजी थिंग टू डू, राइट? बिकॉज शेयर प्राइसेस इनहेरेंटली आर वॉलेटाइल. अगर आप मेरी बात सुनते हैं, आप एक इंटरनेशनल अकाउंट खोल लेते हैं, फेसबुक गूगल के शेयर ले लेते हैं, तो शेयर्स का क्या है, ये तो डिस्पाइट द बेस्ट ऑफ फॉर्च्यून्स, these share prices are linked to fortunes of companies in a long period. But कल परसों महीने 6 महीने में क्या हो जाएगा, ये is very difficult to forecast. So I think the first step your listeners have already taken, which is that they are your clients. That is the first step. So now we have to start from the second step, which is that to understand that how much of allocation should be in international funds. I think that you have to guide them that how, when they do the asset allocation. My personal opinion is that it should be more in the range of 10 to 15% in international funds. Second is that I can just forewarn you, a lot of people will be very happy to invest in international funds right now, because in the last year or 2 years, the Indian equity has disappointed. And in the last year or 2 years, America and some of those markets, actually for many years, they've done better than us. तो क्या होता है कि जब हम डेटा और टेबल सामने लगाएंगे तो ऐसा एक इंप्रेशन बनेगा कि भाई ये तो नो ब्रेनर है, हमको कर ही देना चाहिए. बट क्या होता है कि जैसे हम जानते हैं, एनी लव अफेयर व्हिच बिगिंस विद अ रिबाउंड इज बाउंड टू बी ऑन अ बैड wicket, right? So if you start investing internationally just because India has done badly, that's a bad start. If you ask me my personal opinion, next couple of years India will do very, very well. So what you should do actually is that understand what proportion, consult your advisor, understand what proportion of your money should go into international funds, and then please don't start with any one stock, because इंडिया समझते समझते हमारे पता नहीं कितने साल डिकेड्स निकल गए, अब हम कहाँ अमेरिका की पूरी खोज करेंगे. So don't start with any one stock or two stocks. You, Colonel Sanjeev Govila and their team, they'll have a plethora of funds, Indian funds, which are actually investing in US, and they'll be able to tell you which funds. So start small, start with couple of funds, gain an understanding, and then if you're very excited and very enthusiastic about it, gain your own knowledge, gain your own learning, and then do it yourself if you wish to actually do it. But the first step is to consult the advisor, determine what proportion to put, which fund to start with. I think those steps you take first. Don't straight away jump into buying any company.
In fact, Ashish, in answering this question, you answered other 3 questions also, which I had lined up. The point to be brought out is, it doesn't matter how great or bad the company is. Ultimately, if it is equity, it will behave like equity. Like Facebook. Facebook was shooting up for the past so many days, and it went above its previous all highs. Suddenly, a few companies decided that because of the ongoing agitation and racism, etc., in the US, some companies decided that we will not be advertising on social media at all.
Yeah.
Look at what is happening to Facebook right now. Day before, it went down by 6%. Yesterday night also it went down. So anything could happen in equity. Please don't think that just because it's a big name that you heard of and you use the product, so it is not equity. Ashish, as always, it's been great listening to you. And I'm very, very sure this elusive class called International Investing, all the people who are here, they've heard, they've learned hugely from you, which you have explained in such a simple manner. Really grateful to you for taking out your time and being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity.